What's going on, guys? Today I'm working on a Verbatim flash drive. I was surprised to see that the device is actually made by Verbatim because from what I remember, Verbatim wasn't on par with like Lexar and Corsair and SanDisk, but it was more of a reputable brand, and seeing devices such as this kind of was a little bit of a disappointment. Now, a little bit information about these devices. So flash memory is something where the data is being stored. Now, often we see cheap promotion flash drives come in with untraditional storage devices in form of monolithic either flash drives, memory cards, micro SD cards, eMMC chips from like cell phones, where the physical controller that is embedded into the device is not connected. That promotional flash drive has its own standalone controller that's directly wired in through NAND protocol to the NAND of this monolithic unit. Eventually, those devices can also develop issues and stop working. Today's case was kind of strange to me. At first, I saw some symptoms that I thought that going to be related to one thing, but as a case started to develop, it came out to be something completely different. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation. Comment below, thumbs up for the video, for the algorithm to shoot it up. The interactions that I get through your comments is what drives me to make them more and more and more frequent. There's tons of stuff to come, so stay tuned for more. And if you need data recovery services, I always link our contact details in the description box. This thing here you guys see, this is a SanDisk, most likely monolithic SD card that is repurposed, most likely due to a failed controller but healthy memory. It's repurposed as a NAND component running off of this Alcor AU6989 controller. What could be going on with this device? There are a bunch of things that could be going on. There are a bunch of things that could be happening here. The device came in like this with the jumpers and header linked up like this. Let's check something really quick before we get into any further things. Let's see if this pin, okay, it's connected. Let's just alright, so connector is linked. What can I tell you about this device from looking at it? I can tell you that just because this didn't pass quality control, there's a good chance that the memory is the source of the problem itself. So if we even had a donor, which we do, client sent a donor along with it, even if we had a donor for this, there is no guarantee that it's going to take care of it. This will work if the problem with the memory is on the connection level. You know, if the connection isn't all there, then maybe we can get lucky and by reworking the device even to an original board, we should bring its functionality back. But the donor would be very helpful in this case if let's say the original controller, that Alcor controller, stopped working, or something else on the circuit level, component level, isn't doing its job. And if that's the case, having a substitution that is functional, that is built on the same platform, that runs the same way, would be great. The only thing is that these controllers and the NANDs that they work with usually are quite problematic, and figuring out what's going on is not always easy. Looking at this here, I can tell that there's a really good chance that the connector wasn't the original issue. Connector might have broke, but If we see all the pads are still intact, then chances are it wasn't the damage that really stopped the device from functioning. We need to look further. So I'm not going to use this connector. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it's how good it is or how bad it is. I'm going to just go ahead and take this off. First, let's turn on the fume extraction. This is just troubleshooting. This is not intent to repair. I just want to make sure that I get to see what the device does when it's connected with a known working component. So the first tool to do any type of work with USB is this guy right here. It's the simplest amp meter. Plug this in, and I have an extension cord for USB hooked up to my power supply, DC power supply unit, and this will tell us what kind of consumption we're getting when the device is powered on. We're getting 30 milliamps. That's adequate for the device of this type. Let's turn it off. We know that it's not going crazy on the amps, so now it's actually safe to plug it into something that is higher value. In this case, I'm gonna use a good old deep spar USB stabilizer. Slide this in, and on the control panel for the device, we're just gonna have to select it. It's not open. Let's go ahead and open it up. Power up. Set to the SSD. Okay, so now we wait. We see the device doesn't want to initialize. Usually that means it's trying to load, but something is in the way. Knowing that it's trying to load and something is in the way, and knowing that our consumption levels are good, I think it's safe to assume that the problem is either on the level of controller or it's on the level of the NAND. Most likely the NAND, but in order to rule out the problematic controller, we can do several things. Since we have a donor, we can take the NAND from the donor, swap it onto our patient to see if patient is gonna work with the donor's NAND. If it does, then we know for sure that the board is good, we know for sure that the controller is good, and we know for sure that the memory is bad. There's nothing else really that will boil it up. If it works, then there is probably no point in swapping the memory from patient onto the donor, unless we feel that connection between the patient and patient's memory and patient's board wasn't good in the first place, which I highly doubt it's the case here. It's most likely the quality of the NAND itself that failed us. So let's turn it off, take out the unit, and remove the NAND. When we remove the NAND, we'll be able to see a little bit more about this device, and maybe that will help us to figure out what the action plan should be. I'm just thinking how to position it in the least damaging way. We're gonna have to cook it up a little bit. I also don't want to put any pressure on the NAND, because you see how close it is to the border. If I put a clamp there, it's just gonna ram right into it. Maybe we can go this way. It's just a 4-point connection on the USB with the leaded solder is gonna probably let go first before the unit reaches its flowing temperature. Add a bit of flux. This is the donor device that we have. Looks the same, probably came out of the same pack or same place. Let's just double check that it's not going to fry anything important. So connect it to the amp meter. Check the readings on that. It's consuming 40 milliamps, so a little bit more. But if we go into the deep spar, control panel, and power this thing up, we should get capacity showing up if the device is working. Yeah, so we get 23 gigs. And so assuming that this is a 32 gigabyte device, if we open up, let's say, our studio for this, so and if we go into, let's say, we don't need to really test it at this point, let's just turn it off. We see that it's working, which is awesome. I wish the other one was like that, but we need to take the memory out and see how the device will work without the memory. What are we gonna see with the device without the memory? Okay, I'm gonna cure it with the UV light. Here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this epoxy. So let's go ahead and prep the donor first. Yeah, once heated, this glue comes off much easier. I guess let's take the memory off here. This thing is not being held on to by a lot. We just gotta series of connections. And as I mentioned before, this is a SanDisk SD card. So if we needed to recover content directly from the NAND, we would go through these connections here. We can't plug this thing into the card reader and assume it's going to give us the data, because remember that this is now doesn't have an internal controller that's functioning. It's using the NAND protocol. I don't know why these things are still connected. It's a little bit strange because these go into the controller. I think they're not connected to anything. Okay, these dots here, they're just for leveling. You see, because if they were connected to the circuit and activated with the controller somehow, these connections talk to the controller on the SD card. And what this manufacturer wanted to do is it wanted to skip this portion, use this controller to talk to the specific signals on the card. These are the bus signals and these are the command signals here. And the reason why we have solder leftovers here is just because these bumps were created to level the card. So when you melt it, it doesn't sit on the angle. It has something kind of propping the card to sit leveled with the distance that's going to be created by these solder spheres. So let's have a look at the donor's reaction to a missing NAND, and that's going to give us. Okay, this is the reaction to a missing NAND. Okay, so I took the patient off and I put it onto our patient, the donor memory on a patient board. I'm just gonna double check that all of these are good. I should have done that first, but so what do we have on the output? We have 50 and it drops to 30. So this is a donor on a patient board. Now we're going to connect it to DeepSpar and power on DeepSpar with donor's memory. And it mounts. If it mounts, you guys know I explained before, I'm even going to open up a new window. If it mounts, that means the board and the controller of the patient are good, and we can see that our device is appearing here. And if we scroll, we can see that it's got data on it. So what do we know to this point? We know that our board was good. We know that our board didn't have any issues, and it's currently working with the another device. So just for eliminating easy options, we can mount the patient's memory onto this device here, but let's just make sure that we take an extra care with it, add a bit more flux, and redo the soldering joints on there. Alright, now we're gonna get a soldering iron. Ooh. And we're just gonna put all new balls here. Same goes for the balancing ones. Alright, it's gonna be tough to miss the placement. Like, the pads are really big on there. Yeah, this paint is horrible. Well, not gonna use it anymore. So let's plug this in again to the metering device. Readings are good. Plug this into the box and let's hit the power switch here. And what do you know? It seems to like it. It actually seemed to like it. Maybe it was a bad connection. Who knows? Let's find out if we can actually take the data off of it. And as you can see, some activity is taking place. We got store and go. Now it's actually properly named. And if we go into the hex, I'm pleasantly surprised it's giving us the data. So at this point, the device is going to go and get cloned, and once the clone is created, the data will be extracted. This is a successful case. I'm happy it worked out. If you guys have a device similar to this that doesn't work, feel free to reach out to us for help. Link in the description will take you to our website where you can request those services. For those of you who are new to the channel, if you're into data recovery, subscribe, because that's what we post here. Data recovery cases, day in, day out. Whenever we get a chance to post a new video, we do that. So thank you guys for watching again, and I'll see you all in the next episode. The data is saved, client is happy. What could be better than that? Time to go to the next case, guys. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, or if you need this service, let us know. The links are also in the description box. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next episode.